Stretch out the dreams from my mind. Granny's got the scoop, let's unwind. Birds are chirping, singing their tune. Mystery of the day coming soon. Cup of tea and a buttered scone. Start the day, we're never alone. Good morning, rise and shine. Granny's here with stories so fine. Good morning, off we go. To greet the world with a happy glow.
Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful morning so far. Grab your coffee, your espresso, your cappuccino, whatever it is that you drink in the morning, and let's get started. Today, we are talking about the Idaho 4 case, specifically the records that are coming out about Brian Koberger, right? And the KBar knife. So today we found out that Brian tried to delete his history, his search history from Amazon, where he bought the knife. So we're going to take a look at that and talk about it a little bit. It's one thing when you buy something and delete your search history.
I am guilty of it. I poke around on Amazon. I put stuff in the cart. Sometimes I buy it. Sometimes I just forget about it. Sometimes I change my mind. Amazon's always good at reminding me, though, if I forget. One thing I do not do, however, I do not look for ways to erase the fact that I was ever at those sites in the first place. And if I am ever charged with 4 murders, that's probably going to help my defense. Not so much for Brian Koberger. New documents that just dropped tonight show Idaho prosecutors have some more heavy ammo against him in his quadruple murder case. We have been kept from these details for 2.5 years. That pesky gag order has seen to it. Little by little, morsels of information are dropping in the way of pretrial court documents, and tonight, a bombshell. We already knew that Koberger's Amazon history showed that he bought a KBar knife, according to the prosecutors, and a KBar sheath and a sharpener months before the murders. And we also learned that he searched for what the prosecutors call a replacement knife and sheath after the murders. Convenient. But today we learned that whoever's fingers were doing the walking on that Amazon account looked for ways to delete that shopping history right after the murders.
And so, guys, the defense is trying to say that this Amazon account was a family account, right? That anybody could have done this, really. So then, I mean, it's pretty easy to try to prove, right? Where's the knife in question that was purchased, right? Where is it? Produce it. If it was bought by dad or mom, sister, whatever, produce it. And secondly, why would any of them try to delete that search history? Other than maybe they were trying to cover up for him? Maybe they suspected him? I mean, I don't know. But it's pretty damning evidence when you think about it, right?
Bad fact. Prosecution documents also show that the KBar knife and sheath were, quote, shipped to Brian Koberger at his family address in Pennsylvania, end quote. The documents continue with, quote, after the homicides. Activity from the same account showed the user navigated pages related to the deletion of account activity, and a week later viewed pages associated with KBar knife and sheath. This evidence establishes significant connection between defendant and KBar knife and sheath.
So the defendant is going to have a pretty hard time trying to say that someone else bought the knife because it was shipped to Brian Koberger at his family address in Pennsylvania, right? As far as the other stuff, I mean, I suppose the family could have tried to delete that stuff, right? That search history in order to protect Brian, right? But do you really think so? I mean, that's a long shot, right?
It's hard enough to hide something like that in real life. But whoever killed those poor kids was able to hide that, because no one's ever found the actual KBar knife. But he screwed up with that, or she. This was found under the body of Maddie Mogan. And on that little snap, DNA. Prosecutors say that DNA led them right to Koberger. I believe the legal term for the stuff we learned in the document tonight is called mic drop. But Lisa Bonner knows a lot more about that technical stuff than I do. She's a managing partner of Bonner Law, and she's here with me live. Lisa, evidence found is one thing, but evidence that a defendant tries to hide is sometimes even more powerful.
Yes, it is. In this instance, it led them to connect significantly the search history and the connection between the knife sheath and the DNA. The search history clearly shows that the same account that was used to search for the knife, to ship to the knife, and to delete the history was the same name and email and the purchase history of the defendant. And that is
that's
a
never
mic drop,
good.
Ashley.
That's a mic drop. So
That's a mic
here's
drop.
another mic-ish. Here's a little like lavalier drop. And that is that they also said it's a family account, right? That's what the defense said. It's a family account. You don't know who in this family was buying the knife. We live in the Poconos and there's hunting and camping and all the rest. But the address is Brian Koberger. It's shipped to Brian Koberger. It's not shipped to mom and it's not shipped to dad. And by the way, if it is mom and dad doing the purchasing, was it also mom and dad trying to scrub that account after the murders?
Well, that's interesting because this is going to turn on if the defendant is trying to establish that can be established during cross-examination. They were trying to get that evidence removed. And they were trying to say that is not going to happen. It's highly prejudicial. And in this instance, the judge said, that's not the case. If you want to say it's a parent's account, if you want to say it's a family's account, then you can challenge that in court. But this is relevant. This establishes a significant connection. And therefore, it is probative evidence that we are going to allow to be admitted. And you may challenge that on your cross-examination.
Well, not only that, the state could call up mom and dad, right? They could subpoena them and force them to testify. Now, are they going to say that it was them, that they had the KBar knife shipped to them in Brian's name? I mean, really, are they going to say that? I don't think so. I just don't think so. Not going to happen. So I'm glad that the judge is allowing this to be brought into court, right? Because it's important information. It's important information to prove from the state's advantage that Brian planned this. He committed these atrocious acts.
It's as simple as that.
I always love the fight in court, the probative versus prejudicial. Every everything. All evidence is prejudicial, right? It's like, what are you talking about? But I get it. Sometimes it's beyond the pale. However, the bushy eyebrows, it turns out the judge said, sorry, that's not something that's so prejudicial. That is an eyewitness account. The defense wanted to actually bury an eyewitness account. It did not happen. I suppose you're not surprised.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not surprised because this is the only witness that they have in this instance. This is the only witness. Again, the judge said that the evidence was consistent and it was clear. The witness gave the same description of the eyebrows. The eyebrows was almost its own character, if you will, in this narrative. Mm-hmm. She was very clear about, I don't remember much about what the person looked like. I don't remember the nose. I don't remember the eyes. I do remember it was an eyebrow or an eyebrow, and it was bushy eyebrows. And that is the situation that we are looking at in this.
Guys, do you think that I just had a thought. Brian Koberger's attorney, Ann Taylor, she is smart as a whip, I gotta say. If I had committed a crime, I guess I'd want her on my side, right? She's gonna throw everything out there. But here's my thought. This bushy eyebrows is a big thing, right? A big thing. Do you think that they'll pluck his eyebrows before the trial? Honestly, I would not put it past Ann Taylor to have that done if Brian's agreeable. I really would not. The difference, though, if she did, all they have to do is produce old photos, right? But I just had that thought. Would they really go to that extreme? Maybe not, because an old photo could be produced, right?
Instance, whether or not this was a consistent and clear connection. And it was not prejudicial. This was the only witness. And again, they can challenge this on cross-examination.
Thanks for watching. Go to join.
So there you have it, guys. Brian Koberger not only searched on Amazon for the KBar knife and sheath, he did it twice because he was looking for a replacement sheath. And then he tried to hide his search history by deleting it, right? You know, defense is going to say family account. We don't know who. The prosecution in this case dotted their I's and crossed their T's because they even said that it was shipped to Brian Koberger at the Pennsylvania address, right? So very, very interesting, guys. Very interesting. I'm looking forward to this trial in August. I really am. The information that is coming out little by little, piece by piece, right, is incredible. Remember, everything had been under a gag order. And now we're starting to get this information out here. How much more are we going to find out in trial, right? We're going to have to be listening very, very closely to everything, I think, in this trial, because I think there's going to be a lot just by the sheer amount of, evidence that they sent to the defense, right? So the trial is going to be interesting. Let me know your thoughts, Of course, Brian Koberger is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, right? But his trial is coming very, very soon. And it's going to be televised, and it's going to be interesting to watch it, guys. I want to thank you for being here with me today. Please hit the like button on your way out. I would really appreciate it. Hit subscribe, the notification bell, so you're notified when we go online, which is almost every night about 5 p.m. Central Time. I want to thank you so much and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you for watching another episode of Granny's Crime Busters. We really appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to subscribe and like and even share the content. You can follow us on any of our other social media platforms at YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We really appreciate you guys, and you can also email us at grannyscrimebusters@gmail.com. Thank you so much, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.